You're watching SBA Today. With all the latest news, stories, and advice, here are your hosts, Paul Long and Tonya Mazurek.
And welcome to SBA Today, presented by Res Title, your SBA title experts for the week of June 30th, July 1st, whatever you want to do. I am Paul, dressed in red.
I am Tonya, also dressed in red. And today it's gonna be a little bit different today, man. We're gonna talk about educational moments, as Paul likes to say, things that we've learned from. My idea is the oh crap moments. Yeah. Anyway, that's what
I have them listed as something else, but we can't say that on a podcast.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, drum roll, please. I love it. Thank you, Madison.
So, like Tonya said, this is going to be a little bit different today because we're going to share with you some of those oh crap moments that we have had. And let's be real, it's not just us. I know every single one of you that are listening to this and are in this industry can relate to some of these. And so we just kind of want to share with you what some of those are. And of course,
wait. We got to cover our butts first there, Paul. We're going to sit there and say, these may or may not be our own. These may or may not be the bank we're with or previous bank. These may or may not be something somebody else told us. So there's our butt covering for the day. CYA, baby. CYA.
That's right. And the opinions of this podcast or opinions of these people are not those of our employer or whatever that disclaimer is.
These people? Anyway, keep going.
Well, okay. So first one, have you ever pulled credit before giving a term sheet?
So Paul, I don't give term sheets. I am one of those. I don't give term sheets.
Oh, very interesting.
Here's why. Meaning I don't give term sheets up front. What we'll do is I'll do a proposal, but it's well down the road because we're prime plus 2 3/4 here, right? We have one thing. We're not competing with anything. And when I do compete with anything, as far as putting my term sheet out there, all it's for really is for them to take it and kind of check out and see what other things are. So what I do instead is work with the customer in advance. When it looks like it's something that I can do, we move forward with it. And then I'll send out a proposal, which is definitely different. My proposal of what I'm going to try to do for them, collect an earnest check, and then we move forward. So no, I don't pull credit in advance.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thing because, obviously some institutions do pull credit before. Some put it in their term sheet that, these are the terms based on acceptable credit. I've worked for institutions that do both. So that's interesting. However, the reason why I asked that is because, I'm sure you've never had a situation maybe where you gave the terms, you've said, hey, Mr. Customer, any credit issues we need to be aware of? No, everything's fine. I have a 900 credit score. I'm being facetious. And they come back and divide that in half and they're at a 500. And it's like, oh, okay.
There's ways around that. There are ways around that, Mr. Paul.
Oh, really? Tell me about that.
I'm saying I don't pull their credit, but that does not mean I don't tell them that they can pull their own credit.
Well, 100%. That's true. 100%.
And it may not be it's specific, but it at least gives you an idea of what their monthly expenses or their monthly responsibilities are and a possible score and all that in order to use. So,
that's true.
I just don't like dinging credit if I don't know if I can work with them or if I don't know they're working with me. I don't want to freaking ding their credit.
I don't want to be a car dealership, right? Like where you just go and you get hit. And you're 100% right. And I take credit pulls very seriously. And I know a lot of people do as well. So I think that's another reason why you kind of have to balance that out. But again, I know we've all been in those situations where, oh, I'm fine. and then it's bad.
100%. 100%.
That's welcome to SBA lending, right?
Yeah, exactly. All
Do
right,
the next
Paul.
one,
Well,
Tonya.
next one. When you do business acquisitions, do you do a quick and dirty value? Oh, I like asking you this one first.
Yeah. So I always, and I train always all of my team members to try to look at a value, and again, you can do a back of the napkin, kind of a quick, there's a cool sheet that that is circulating around in the world to kind of help you understand that. But you should understand the value, because if you're getting a value of, a $2 million business and you're cash flowing at 900,000, you're like, okay, I'm missing something.
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing assets? Am I missing some major major add backs? Like, but I think that's the difference between a C level BDO and an A player, is you're trying to jump ahead to find what some of those mistakes are. And that's a key thing, in my opinion.
Well, and that's going to be not only on the multiples that they're choosing to use and what those multiples are based on. Is it based on net income? Is it based on revenue? Because they're different.
Mm-hmm.
They're different. And is it a business broker or somebody that's sending it in, that's sitting there telling you what their seller discretionary earnings are, and what are those in there that they're using in order to get these multiples? And I've seen that so many times where, oh yeah, gee, their net income is this, but we're going to add back, they built out their home bathroom at their private residence, and then
100%.
And then they're putting that in. And it's like, no, you can't do that anyway.
Well, yeah, add backs are fun. Add backs are always entertaining, but I absolutely recommend a lot of people to do a quick and dirty
100%.
valuation, just to make sure you're within ballpark.
Agreed.
Low credit score. Have you ever went through anyways because you had a good story on a bad credit, and were you burned or not?
Yes. And yes and no. Yes, I've gone through with a good story. I mean, specifically back when we were a GP lender, I mean, that's what we were known for, right? Is doing some of those really challenging ones that other people wouldn't do, which meant we are very much a story bank. And I'm a story lender. I'm going to listen to that story. So oftentimes people will have issues on their credit that were unforeseeable or a challenging moment, specifically when it's medical bills or something along those lines, or somebody has moved across country. I had a lawyer actually that had moved across country. They were buying a winery. He was going to do his business there, blah, blah, all this stuff. Well, there's some challenges when it came to the move, and then some medical issues came up. There were all these things, right, that weren't ongoing. They were previous. And so, yes, what I've done typically is, if there's an issue, there's a good story around it, I'm going to certainly try to move forward with them, because that's kind of why we're in this industry, right? Is looking at those stories and trying to figure it out. Have I been burned? No. Maybe because either the ones that I tried to get through that maybe back office didn't see the same way I did, maybe they didn't go through to begin with, so there was no burning. And the ones that we did get through, there were valuable stories behind it, and so they actually did well. So that's fine.
So
how about you?
I mean, again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've served as a BDO. I've done management. I've done a lot of different things, and I would say that low credit scores, yes, medical reasons is a common thing that you hear, and you got to hear the story on, right? Like, I totally get that. But it does, once you're in that situation, or once you're in that challenge of a credit situation, it's definitely hard to get out of. And you can be. So, I have, but I've also seen on the other side too, people come back from some of those. So, and again, 100%. This is a big reason why the SOP is silent when it comes to credit. It's lender discretion. And
lenders, we shore it up with other things, right? So oftentimes it doesn't mean that we're just going to go through. There may be a different structuring that occurs, or there may be more things that are added in order to try to shore it up or make it stronger. And that's acceptable, completely acceptable, especially when let's say many banks won't do it and one decides to. Well, if they're asking for a little bit more to strengthen it, more collateral, more equity, more something, right? They're trying to get it done within the guidelines or boundaries they have. So anyway, sorry, had to throw that out there.
What happens if you're like, okay, well, let's take your house and let's try to find some other ways? And they're like, no.
You know what?
My answer is
sorry.
no.
I was like, I didn't put this there, and I'm sorry that it's there. And I will do what I can within the reasoning that I have with my bank, the reasoning that I have within the SBA. We will try to get it done, but you kind of have to understand that you got to work regardless if it's a situation that you meant to be in or didn't mean to be in, you're still in it. And we're doing what we can. So anyway, all right. How about ever make an underwriting cash flow error and not catch it until after the loan is done?
And as I'm 26 years doing this, absolutely. You end up looking at a situation later on down the road, and you're like, why did I add that back? And because you maybe you didn't detail it out, or you ended up transposing numbers. But let's be real, that's extremely common. I know many underwriters who have done that, and that's why lenders need to take a look at their credits and don't just assume that the underwriter does it all and et cetera. But yeah, there's been issues where a 3 should be a 9. It messes things up.
What's been great? What's been great here is we really do a very, I know my team does, right? Do a very deep dive up front before even putting it into underwriting of what we think the spreads are. And we've got our way of doing it, right? And it might be more in depth maybe than some others potentially do it. But the reason everybody makes mistakes. So if underwriting comes back, and it's happened before, maybe CapEx is different than we put it in one way because we know what we were doing. They put it in a different way. And so we can talk about it, or they see a number that we missed, or we have a number in there and they don't understand why. Anyway, when we get theirs back, we can compare the two and then discuss it. So I do like when you put more effort in up front, I think you get more on the back end and less mistakes. Does that make sense?
Agreed. And that's why I'm a huge believer of pre-flights. Pre-flights are important, and do some quick and dirty cash flow. Have you ever had a seller note that goes on full standby yet being paid anyway?
Well, Paul, to my knowledge, of course not. But do I think it happens? Of course so, because we don't know what's going on. We've talked about this before, right? We do what we can. Right. We tell the rules, we tell the eligibility. We're not sitting there like freaking the mama bear going back and looking what our children are doing that deep. We can't. There's just no way. And so do people do things outside of the system that we are unaware of? Absolutely. So I'm just going to say that.
100%. Yep. What's the next one?
Okay. All right. Ever turned down a deal on ethics? Oh boy.
If you're in this business, you've at least done that multiple times. Like, Jesus. If there's a red flag at the beginning of the process, there's going to be plenty of red flags later. So yes, absolutely. I have. Absolutely.
And I'm going to take that a step further because you know me, Paul. And yes, I've absolutely done that. And I've done it for both reasons. So on both sides, both for they're sketchy up front and it looks like some red flags that I'm just not comfortable with. I'm not going to do it. I don't care if I can get it done, right? By being sketchy, it's not worth it to me. But on the flip side too, I'm prime plus 2 3/4. Now, I get people that sometimes reach out to me via LinkedIn, right? Because they see me on LinkedIn, they reach out about a deal. And it is a borrower that has an 850 credit score, has collateral out the yin yang, has tons of liquidity to put in, has perfect. I mean, all of the things are perfect, and they truly are an A paper deal. They reach out to me because they see me, or they reach out to me because of some other reason or whatnot, because they just don't know any better. But I might actually have this discussion with them as far as, have you talked to the bank that you're currently with? Have you talked to, you know what I
Wow.
mean? In order, I do, Paul. And it's not because I've had it work two ways where they've gone and then maybe they have to come back for one reason or another, right? But if you're
Mhm.
doing the right thing, you're not putting them in a product that is not the right product for them, for your
Agreed.
own pocketbook. And I
True.
was always brought up in banking that it's the borrower first, the bank second, myself last. And I've seen it work multi ways. So for
Yeah.
me, ethics and morals come so far ahead of what I put in my pocket.
Yep.
I've seen it both ways. So
Agreed. Nope, I
anyway,
agree with that. I am going to skip around on our questions here. Sorry, Madison. Tonya. But have you ever had to go back and forth on signature paperwork after the deal has closed?
Mhm.
Come
Yeah,
on,
that's
of
why we
course
have
you
our
have.
forums to protect us, right? Yeah, things come out of the woodworks specifically at the closing table oftentimes, and it's
Oh my
like it's
gosh.
already
Yeah.
done, and all of a sudden you're like, we're just going to have to get that after the fact, right? So yes, I have.
Yeah. And it happens. And if you haven't, someone else is correcting the errors for you because you've made them.
Exactly. Okay, so Paul, have you? I love this one. This is going to be
I
fun.
knew you were
Have
going to
you
ask this one.
ever had to eat crow as the face of the bank?
As a manager, absolutely. There are many times that I would always like to
Ugh.
say what I want to say, but
Yeah.
you just gotta swallow it and just say, okay, yes, oops, sorry, we made a mistake. Yeah, it's hard. It's
It
hard,
is.
but that you absolutely have to do that in life.
Well, Paul, I really think that I'm a Croatarian. And- because
Okay.
I've eaten crow, meaning
Oh,
as the face.
okay, got it.
A Croatarian, because I've
Like, where are
eaten
you
crow
going?
as a lender. I've eaten crow as the manager. I've eaten crow as the face of the bank. I've eaten crow consistently, but that is our role, right? We are the face of the
Yep.
bank. We are the ones that are the upfront. To point fingers means three fingers are pointed back at you. So yes, I've
Correct.
eaten crow many a time.
Yep. We'll do two more here. Have you ever missed loan fees or taxes on vehicles? Do you ever take? I mean, again, vehicles aren't
I
necessarily
hate that
always.
one.
We
I
all
really hate that because I hate vehicles.
right.
Sorry, guys.
But
I do. I hate them.
I think we speak on everybody in the SBA industry when we say vehicles suck.
They really
but
are so hard.
if you're doing so many large things,
Yeah.
you aren't always thinking taxes on those.
Yeah.
I've been caught multiple times on those where it's just like, you get pretty close to closing and you're like, oh God, I totally forgot taxes. And it's a big number, right? Because when you're doing the taxes on those, so at least for state of Washington, it is.
Right.
But it's difficult, and it happens. It absolutely happens.
Mm. Well, I'm going to ask this one, and I'm going to answer before I even let you answer because I
Deal.
want to. And Tonya does what she wants. Never. Anyway, okay. So, have you ever done a deal that you haven't? So that's going to be the question, and I want you to answer too. But oh my God, I got to tell you about one.
Do it.
I will try not to cry. It seriously still affects me, Paul. So I did it. I did in a sad way, right? I mean, so I did a deal, and it was for a restaurant startup, tenant build out, no collateral other than the build out stuff, right? So the main piece of collateral was a personal home that was fully paid off, and this is retirement age. And it was right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They were not in a structure that allowed for delivery per se with some of the things. The landlord did not work with them as far as tables outside to do something a little different during that stage. The salaries of employees went up. Well, you don't have revenue coming in, salaries go up. I mean, it was one thing after another, after another, after another. We did everything we could as a bank to help, right? It didn't make it, right? And absolutely kills me to this day, still kills me. Love my borrowers, always do. And it would have been such an amazing deal, but things just happen. And this happens not just with the pandemic, that just freaking put everybody
Agreed.
over the edge, right? But
Yep.
timing sometimes of different things. I mean, a wall was built that we didn't even know was going to be built that by the city that created, an issue with visibility. So many things went wrong. So yes, I wish to goodness, to be honest, I didn't do that deal for them, and they didn't do that deal because they would be in a better financial situation. So yeah, I have.
And you know what's funny is the one that I was thinking of that again I wish I wouldn't have done either. Is kind of the same on yours, where it's kind of an older individual, house practically paid off. The bottom line is, I mean, they could have done a home equity, but they didn't have the income because they were relying on the business. So you kind of had to go the SBA route. But it was a situation where the business failed, and she had to sell her multi-million-dollar house that I think she owed like $100,000 on when I did the loan. In order to pay us off, and then she kind of downsized, et cetera. It's hard. It's hard. And when you're in this business, you will have stories like that. And you will have deals that you wish you wouldn't have done. If you don't have a heart, then you shouldn't be in this business, because we really do a lot of cool things for people. But just like, and no one saw COVID coming. Good Lord, if that was on your bingo card of life, you would be really rich. But it's difficult. It's difficult, but
really
hopefully everyone enjoyed that. It was just kind of a back and forth of Tonya and I of lessons learned. I'm
going to throw another one out there, Paul, that you're not even familiar with, and then you can sit there and say your spiel if you want to. But I'm still going to put one out there, and this one is just because I've been seeing a lot of this lately. Do you actually, like, if somebody reaches out to you, or let's say you're using Lender Match, or they reach out to you, do you? And I already know what you're going to say because you're like me. But anyway, do you call them and have an actual conversation with them and find out what exactly they're looking to do? Or are you one of the ones that just says, hey, go ahead and put in a loan application and then we will see where we're going? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that bothers me. That
bothers the crap out of me.
Get the beep button ready.
Woo!
Have a conversation. Help them through. If you get to the end and they're not ready, it's better to at least help them with a plan and then be done. But don't just, here's the paperwork, let's go through the rat race, and then have me say no after you've done all this work. That is not good customer service. And that just burns me.
And, I get
good Lord. I see why you didn't put that on the agenda.
You see, my face or my head pops right off my shoulders because I get
me.
that. And what it does is it sends borrowers down a freaking rabbit hole that they don't need to be going down for one reason or another, because they don't always know what they're asking, right? If you don't have a conversation with somebody, wording can be different.
100%.
Ideas behind what they're asking for can be different. And if you're not having a conversation and you're just telling them to do that, guess what's going on? People are pulling credit without, because these loan applications have credit.
Car dealerships.
Oh my God. And then I get these clients after the fact, and I'm livid that they're in the boat that they're in based on, I feel like that's an unscrupulous way to do it. Have a conversation, man. Have a conversation. Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to put that in there.
Nope. Go for it.
All right.
Well done.
All right, guys. All right. We did have fun. This was fun. We should do this more often. Actually, let us know if you like it. Join us here every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on LinkedIn and or YouTube or any of the streaming platforms where you get your podcasts. Join us for our family of, podcast show, which is the Art of SBA Lending and the BDO show. Maybe if you need some title work, go check out our sponsors, Res Title. If you like what we do, go ahead and follow and or message Paul or I on our personal LinkedIn pages. And other than that, rise up with your big bad selves. Know that we think you're awesome, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.